The night shift alarm ripped junior technician Voss from shallow sleep. For eyes snapped open as crimson alerts painted the monitoring station red. For a heartbeat, he hoped it was a glitch. Nothing ever disturbed Border Watch. The Valoran Empire had ruled unchallenged for 3,000 cycles. Every star catalogued, every species subjugated, every border sealed. The sensors didn't lie. Voss touched the comm panel with his primary hand, while secondary limbs summoned detailed scans. Station Commander, Post 74. Unidentified contact, Sector 99 Beta. The commander's voice crackled back, thick with fatigue. Run it through the database. Already did, sir. Negative match. A long silence. That's impossible. Run it again. Voss obeyed. The Imperial Archive held every vessel design across 10,000 systems, 800 billion citizens, 56 conquered spacefaring races. Every hull signature, every engine profile, recorded, classified, mastered. Negative match. Commander Peltar arrived minutes later. Ceremonial armor clanking, scales dull by age but eyes still razor-sharp. Show me. Voss expanded the feed. The contact was small, a quarter the size of a standard patrol cutter. Hull composition, unknown. Propulsion signature violated every known physics model. Energy curve impossible. Distance? Peltar asked. For light hours from the border, sir. Velocity 7 standard. Course straight for Threshold Station. Threshold was a beating heart of the inner empire. Hyperspace nexus. 15 billion souls in connected systems. 70% of all Imperial trade. If this intruder reached it, the core would lie naked. Peltar's tail twitched. Rare sign of real alarm. Priority Alpha to Fleet Command. Dispatch Border Patrol Group 9 for intercept. Weapons tight. Capture intact if possible. Priority Alpha hadn't been declared in Voss's lifetime. Aboard the flagship in capital orbit, Fleet Admiral Thrax studied the same data with cold unease. 20 cycles commanding the Imperial fleet. Pirates crushed, rebellions broken, order maintained across a quarter of the galaxy, and he had never seen anything like this. Tactical, he ordered. Chief Officer Silvara manipulated the holo. Vessel is small, minimal apparent armament. Propulsion exceeds theoretical limits by a factor of 3. Sustained velocity for 19 hours now. No detectable power drop. Thrax's secondary hearts quickened. Probe? Lost colony ship? Negative response to all hails across every band. Silvar replied. And, sir, it appeared exactly at the outer edge of our sensor envelope, as if it knew precisely where our eyes stopped. Science advisor Valera's feathers ruffled. Historical precedent exists. 3 unknown contacts in 3 millennia. All were eventually identified as lost Imperial vessels. This is different. This is deliberate. Thrax stared at the tiny blip. Time to intercept? 11 hours at maximum burn. Maintain defensive posture. No firing unless fired upon. I want answers, not wreckage. Border Patrol Group 9, 12 warships, moved to envelop the intruder. Captain Rethmal watched his screens in disbelief as the target executed a turn no vessel that size should survive. Tractor beams, lock. The field snapped on. The intruder passed through them like smoke. Tractors ineffective. Hull rejects the field entirely. Warning shots across its bow. Pulse cannons flared. The intruder accelerated, suddenly, impossibly, to 2.5 standard velocity. Rethmal stared as his entire group fell behind. Fleet Command, Patrol 9. Target has evaded. We cannot match speed. Pursuing at best possible. Admiral Thrax's voice came back calm and final. Understood. 7th Fleet is forming blockade at Threshold. Hold visual contact. The intruder continued, silent, unstoppable, straight toward the Empire's most vital artery. High Council session lasted 6 hours. Admiral Thrax stood beneath 7 towering holograms. Council Leader Morix's voice cracked with fury. How does one vessel penetrate our borders and humiliate a patrol group? Technology superior in propulsion and stealth, Thrax answered. It scans shielded installations without resistance. It ignores every protocol. Youngest counselor of Thera leaned forward. It has fired no weapons. It has harmed no one. Perhaps we are projecting hostility onto an explorer that penetrates military-grade shields and ignores our fleet. General Cormac snarled. That is provocation. Valera spoke softly. Or confidence. They know exactly what they're doing. The intruder reached Threshold Gate 48 hours after first detection. 300 warships, the entire 7th Fleet, formed an iron wall. Dreadnoughts, cruisers, fighter wings in perfect array. The small vessel dropped out of FTL at precise sensor range. Thrax stood on his flagship bridge. All ships battle stations. Weapons hot. Hails on every frequency. No answer. 30 seconds to weapons range. The intruder stopped, exactly 100,000 kilometers out. Perfect standoff distance. Then it transmitted. Not voice, not code. Direct intrusion into every Imperial display. Prime numbers, atomic structures, star charts from outside Imperial borders. A red line tracing 15,000 light years. The journey it had made. Then interior footage. High Council chamber. Yesterday's session. Every classified installation it had ghosted past. They had been watching for weeks. The transmission ended. The vessel waited. Thrax exhaled. Prepare boarding shuttle. Full security detail. Science team. We go aboard. 12 Valorans cross the void. The airlock opened without resistance. Inside, red-shifted lighting, impossible geometry. Corridors longer than the hull allowed. At the central chamber stood 3 bipeds. 2 arms. 2 legs. Forward-facing eyes. Smooth skin in varying tones. Relaxed posture. No weapons visible. The female in the center raised an open palm. Welcome aboard the CSS Wanderer. I am Captain Sarah Chun, Human Exploration Corps. These are Dr. James Okonkwo and Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka. She spoke perfect Valoran. Tones, grammar, cadence flawless. Thrax stared. How? Chun smiled. Teeth white, expression warm. We've been listening to your broadcast for 72 hours. Your language is logical. We had help, but the fundamentals were straightforward. Valera stepped forward. Curiosity overriding protocol. You learned our language in 3 days? Practice, Dr. Okonkwo said easily. Rapid acquisition is essential when you travel far. Lieutenant Tanaka gestured the seats that rose from the deck. Please, we have much to discuss. Thrax sat. Chairs wrong size, deliberate power play. The humans remained standing. Eye level. You have questions, Chun said. Many, Thrax replied, starting with who you are and what you want. Chun summoned a hollow. This is Sol, our home system. 15,000 light years from your nearest border. We detected your subspace signals 50 cycles ago. We spent 40 cycles building ships capable of reaching you. 10 more observing. We are explorers. We want contact, cooperation, exchange. We want to be neighbors. Thrax's voice was low. You infiltrated our most secure facilities. We gathered intelligence, Chun corrected gently. As you would have done, we needed to understand you before we knocked on your door. Silence. Your propulsion? Valera asked. How? Alcubierre quantum drive. Tanaka answered. Space moves around us. Trial and error. Expensive error. We lost 37 crew perfecting it. Casual. Clinical. Thrax felt cold. The Empire would have stopped after one failure. Why take such risks, he asked. Chun met his gaze. Because the alternative is staying home. Because humans don't sit still for long. The Council fractured. War faction demanded preemptive strike. Peace faction demanded contact. Thrax's report tipped the scale. They voted uneasy alliance. A diplomatic mission to Sol. Weeks later, 5 Imperial ships arrived in the Sol system. Traffic control greeted them in flawless Valoran. Thousands of vessels moved with purpose. Civilian, scientific, military. Orbital stations housed millions. Earth below shimmered blue-green, alive with 12 billion souls. Captain Chun met them at Unity Station. Welcome to Sol, she said. Tomorrow we take you planetside. They walk through controlled chaos. Humans arguing, laughing, inventing, failing, succeeding. No rigid hierarchy. No fear of innovation. Thrax watched a young engineer bump into a senior officer. Both apologized. Both continued. Your society is unstructured, he observed. Chen laughed. It's flexible. Competition drives progress. Chaos, controlled chaos, is how we grow. On the final day, the Human Diplomatic Council spoke plainly. We want partnership. We want to learn your 3,000 cycle wisdom. We offer our speed, our innovation, our willingness to risk. Thrax asked a question that haunted him. What if the Empire refuses? Chen's smile didn't falter. Then we respect your borders. We won't enter without permission, but we won't stop exploring. There are 400 billion stars. Plenty of room for both of us. Back home, the Empire teetered. War faction launched a rogue strike. 12 dreadnoughts aimed at Seoul. They never fired a shot. Humanity had known, had waited. 12 Imperial ships found themselves inside a perfect sphere of thousands of human vessels. Silent until needed. Captain Chen appeared on every bridge. Commander Zathrek, you have entered soul space with hostile intent. Stand down. We offer safe return and education. Zathrek surrendered. No blood, no destruction, only restraint. The war faction collapsed. The High Council voted unanimous. Diplomatic ties. Joint research. Gateway Institute at Threshold, human and Valoran minds side by side. Months later, the first hybrid vessel prepared to launch. Half Imperial strength, half human ingenuity. Admiral Thrax stood on Unity Station with Captain Chun and Director Valera. What's her name? Valera asked. Chun smiled. The crew voted. They're calling her Pioneer. Thrax watched the ship accelerate. Faster than any Imperial vessel. Steadier than any human prototype. Pioneer, he repeated softly. Chun glanced at him. A year ago you saw us as threat. A year ago, Thrax said, I thought the Empire was a pinnacle. Now I see we were only standing still. Valera's feathers smoothed. We taught each other. Chun nodded. And the galaxy just got a lot bigger. The Pioneer jumped. First child of two ancient civilizations. Heading into the dark. Together.